What is up, hotties? Welcome back to another episode of Stay Hot. I'm Blaiden Kirk, joined as always by my two favorite co-hosts of all time, Matthew Sponhour and Theo Ash. We have a great episode planned for you all today. We've been doing our division rankings. We've gone through, I don't even know, the AFC North, the AFC East, NFC North, and NFC South. So today we're doing the AFC South, and then we'll probably do the NFC East next time. So that's the Texans, Colts. What?
I have hot takes about this division.
It is a weird division. It's so.
I have strong feelings, I think, on all of these teams.
I don't know, man. Every time we're like, this is the hardest division to rank, and then every single time
I don't think this division's that hard to rank.
I don't think it's hard to rank. I just think I have strong opinions on each team, but at the end of the day, I just don't know if it's strong enough to rank the Colts first or anything.
No,
or
I don't. Yes. I don't have them. I mean, we'll save that for the actual.
No. I'm saying I have strong opinions on the team, but it's going to end in a very normal order.
Okay. I think that's reasonable.
As everyone turns off the podcast right now.
Theo has a normal order.
What am I doing?
How disappointing. But before we get into that, and we're also going to answer mailbag questions today, as we have been getting you guys more involved in the show. We love answering your questions on Twitter. But how are you guys doing? Matt, Theo?
Decent. Just a regular day for me. I got nothing to report. But
that's okay.
Excited to see the new Barbie movie, the new Oppenheimer. That'll be fun.
Yeah.
I have not slept. I did not sleep last night because I was working, and then the Tour de France came on at 3 a.m. And then I just watched that, and then by the time that ended, it was 8:30. And then I've just been up since.
Your sleep schedule is worse than mine,
sleepy,
man.
Huh?
No, I just feel a little weird.
Yeah. Did you take a nap today?
No, I've been working because I got the All-22 and then I got the podcast prep. And I'm also doing the record predictions on TikTok. So
have you started those?
I did. I predicted the Steelers to go 9-8. But
I think that's where I had them too.
I think most people are going to have them there.
It's they're not great.
I didn't get any hate for that. So
it's they're not great, but you got to give Tomlin the winning record thing still. So
yeah, I got absolutely no hate in the comments for that. So I know it was a boring pick.
Yeah.
But excellent stage of the tour. Jonas Vingegaard put the final nail in Tadej Pogačkar's metaphorical coffin.
Of course he
crashed
did.
early. Crashed early in the course and was feeling a bit sick and didn't have much momentum after the time trials yesterday. So just didn't have it in him under the pressure on the Queen stage, guys.
Fair.
Yeah, I'll take your word for it, man. I got no idea.
I have nothing of substance.
I've been into it, man. I've been into it. But anyway.
Can tell. Well, if you guys want to talk about some good old-fashioned American football, we've got the Houston Texans up. They finished last in this division last year. Will they turn it around and finish first this year? No.
No.
They won't. But they do have CJ Stroud, and that's something to be optimistic about. And they have DeMeco Ryans, and that's something to be optimistic about. They have some dudes.
They are in the same position that the Bears were, where it's they're a year away from being a year away, or that's what probably the outlook was like at the start of the offseason. And going into this year, I mean, even a Texans fan isn't going to tell you yeah, dude, we're making the playoffs. They're let's see if Stroud's good. Let's see if Anderson's good. Let's see if Stingley's good. Those are the focuses this year. I like some of the pieces on the roster, but it just can't all come together in one off season like that.
Yeah. It feels like a Dameon Pierce year to me. I just don't know if you can tell if Stroud is good with these wide receivers. right?
Yeah.
I mean, how many times have we seen a rookie quarterback go in with rookie wide receivers, or some of them are, haven't played, some of them have been in the league a few years and proven
John
nothing.
Mechie.
Some of them are Robert Woods and John Mechie could be a decent player. It's just you're betting on complete unknowns. And I always thought this was really the worst wide receiving core, even though a lot of people said it was Tennessee. Like they don't even have a Burks on the roster or a Chigakonkwo at tight end. Or it's pretty bleak to me after the Brandon Cooks trade, and someone's going to have to prove me wrong. Maybe that's Nathaniel Dell. I mean, he's tiny and had a bad combine, but like every single metric in the game tape says that he's good, and they drafted him pretty high. So like maybe he could be an outlier. I don't know. If I was them, I would just kind of lean on Pierce though, and I would get in a lot of under center looks, shotgun with Stroud, kind of clear out the pocket so he doesn't have to be like navigating a tight pocket with bad wide receivers. We've seen this work in the past. Play action kind of opening up worse receiving cores. And, if Stroud can just execute that at first and then maybe add an elite wide receiver next offseason any way you can, and then graduate to some of the more big boy stuff that you can do then. That's how I would approach it if I was Houston this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think with the receivers, I even like some of the guys they have to some extent. Like I think Nico Collins is pretty decent, and I think Mechie could obviously be a guy. But when it's like that's the receiving core and there isn't anybody proven or anybody who's like a real number one, then even if you like those guys for what they are, it's still not a good group. I 100% agree. I think it's a tough situation for Stroud. The numbers probably aren't going to look great no matter what.
Yeah, that's the tricky part. Defending Stroud at the end of the year.
Would you take the Packers offense or the Texans offense?
Like outside of like
just like going forward, if you could like
Loves like just going forward entirely, or
just entirely as a unit, like
probably take. I don't know. I think Stroud and Love are both unknowns, but I would say that the Packers have a guy who probably has more potential to be like a wide receiver one than the Texans do. That's the difference. It's like the Packers, I think the receivers could be bad. However, maybe Watson really turns it on this year. Here, even if Collins and Mechie and Dell are like what you want, they're still going to be so young that it's probably still not a great unit. Although I don't think either of those receiver units are going to be like positives this year.
Right. And you take Aaron Jones over Pierce.
I think I would. I think they're both pretty
like,
good.
That's not. Yeah, that's like not such a big gap where it's something I'm really, really worried about.
I'd rather Pierce, I think, could be cool in fantasy this year, because if they go under center and run the ball a lot because of just the makeup of the team, you've got Laramie Tunsil, I guess is more of a pass protector, but he can hold his own more than maybe people make it out to be in the running game. And I don't know. I think that I would, at least at the beginning, like kind of ease into this passing offense, because maybe Dell and maybe Mechie are like good, because they were second round pick. Like they could be good players. I don't want to discount this too much, but I just kind of want to ease into that. And I think maybe they could be kind of worrying towards the end of the year, but I think they're just going to be a little bit low ceiling and cautious and unsure at the beginning. It's just a completely new coaching staff and such a young core that I just don't think that this is the year that they can contend, at least on offense or on defense, to be completely honest.
Yeah, I mean, Stroud also strikes me as a guy who it's like you saw the big time creation ability as possible with him in the Georgia game. But remember when he first came to Ohio State, those first few games, that first half of his first season, it took a little while to get him in the mix. And for any rookie quarterback, you'd expect that. For Stroud, it took a little bit of time for him to really be able to like run and go create like you want him to. I mean, for even most of his last year, he wasn't doing that. So I wonder if it's going to be a little bit of a process to get him into that at the NFL level.
Yeah, I do worry about him a little bit, and he was my QB3 behind Young and Richardson. I definitely would rather have Richardson and Young. I'm willing to say that. I think Stroud was a clear number 3 for me behind those two. And the reason is I worry about him creating out of structure a little bit. And I also worry about him standing in there really as the pocket gets really tight. Like, he's just so used to dealing with, DeJuan Jones and Paris Johnson Jr. Like, the whole offense is just absolutely humming. And I think it's just a really ideal world to be CJ Stroud in. And all of a sudden you're not in that world and the pocket is collapsing, and, your accuracy, which once was your greatest strength, is maybe not so much of a strength because you're just not quite used to throwing like this. And there are guys more accurate than you throwing like that. It's just, I could see him being, I could see him being a bit Goffy in that way, where it's like, he's not quite but he is more athletic than Goff. He has a little bit more of that in him. So, like, I still like him, and I still think him as a first-round pick is okay. I don't know. I just don't love Stroud. I just think he's a little borderline top 10.
I think the long-term outlook for him is a little bit better than Goff for sure. Like, my reasoning for having the Texans, and I have them at 4, has more to do with the fact that, like, it's not the world's best quarterback situation ever made, and Stroud is not some like unbelievable generational rookie or anything. He's very good, but you'd have to be, one of the better rookie quarterbacks ever to come out here and get the Texans to like 9 wins or something. It's like he's going to be a rookie quarterback. That's fine. But he's going to be a rookie quarterback. That's not against Stroud. But I think long term, he is willing to throw into areas that Goff is not. He can really drop things in the bucket.
Yeah.
He really, like, his anticipation and his ability to put the ball exactly where you want it to be gives him a pretty high ceiling. And again, he is more mobile. He can create. He can do the step up in the pocket stuff. Whether or not he gets there is one thing, but his ceiling is certainly high enough for the second overall pick. It's just probably not going to translate this year like it wouldn't for most rookie quarterbacks.
Yeah, especially in this situation. Maybe the Goff thing was a bit too harsh, because Goff, you're just fucked if he moves off of his spot, and that's not the case with Stroud. So yes, I am excited about Stroud. I do think that he's obviously the best quarterback that the Texans have had since Watson got banished for being a weirdo. And well, yeah, he's back. But yes, I think that he'll be a market upgrade and has a chance to be a real good starter. I do. I worry about the elite ceiling being there, but that's a story for another time and another place. Like, it should be competent quarterback play within his rookie contract. But again, I just don't know if I can bet on this unit year one. And the defense as well. DeMeco Ryans is a very good defensive coach. The scheme could not have been better for the players he had in San Francisco, which I think is a mark of a good coach. He's a charismatic guy. I think that he's, was a natural leader when he played, and just watching interviews and press conferences, I do see where the hype is coming from with him for sure. And he's bringing in Shanahan guys, which is, a good coaching staff. It seems to be. So I like the defense, and I think that Stingley will have a bounce back year. And I think, Will Anderson should be a boost, although I don't quite understand getting rid of Okonkwo. I thought that he had some juice. Their pass rush was surprisingly good last year.
It'll probably still be okay. The defense looks all right on paper. Like, Jalen Petrie was a good safety for them. They added Jimmy Ward.
Yeah, he was, except for the tackling. But DeMeco could have him flying around.
He made a lot of plays for them. Jimmy Ward they added Jimmy Ward, and Stingley was in.
Yeah, to be the nickel.
Stingley underperformed last year, but he was also like never like they just like had him like out of position almost. It was just like a bunch of like weird.
Yeah, Lovey's wasn't a great defense for him for sure. I do like Sheldon Rankins. I forgot that they brought him in. He was a really nice piece for the Jets. And I liked him in New Orleans as well. I always think he's a journeyman at this point, but I've always liked what he's brought to the table.
It's like
they need Christian Harris to be a lot better than he was last year, because unfortunately, no matter how much better of a linebackers coach they brought in, Christian Kirksey and Denzel Perryman are who they are at this point. Henry 2020
do they still have
Derek
Kirksey?
Klassen.
Oh God!
They do still have Kirksey. I don't know how he's been a starter for this long. He's been a starter on like 3 straight teams, dude. The Browns, the Packers, and now the Texans. It's been like
early before he got hurt in Cleveland. He was pretty okay. After he got hurt,
he was terrible.
Yeah, because that was post injury. Kirksey was awful.
Kirksey.
But I loved him before he got. He was because he was just like a good athlete and he could cover. But now he can't even do that. So it's like, yeah.
They're a young team, and at the end of the day, it's a young team that I get being excited about. But then, like, you compare them to every other roster in the league, and you're like, okay, no, I think. Like, I can't get too excited. That's just kind of how I feel. Maybe it's great. You know, maybe all these guys develop and hit their potential because there's a lot of nice young pieces. But then you stack it up, and, I mean, they don't even have, like, they're a little bit like the Packers on offense, I think, but they're not like the Packers on defense in that they don't have a Kenny Clark. They don't have a Rashawn Gary. They don't have a Jair Alexander. They don't have a Preston Smith even there, where it's like, well, maybe they do in Jerry Hughes, but
they did have
do
Dalton
think that
Schultz.
There's a bit more proven talent.
Yeah. And Schultz is not a bad piece to add there. I kind of think my logic for them not being that good is similar to the Panthers, where it's like, you could maybe see how some of these units come together, but at the end of the day, 2 most important positions are quarterback and receiver, and they're not good at receiver, and they have a rookie quarterback. I'm probably going to bet against that. Yeah. So it's fine, but like
you just witnessed me just try to convince myself that the Packers are going to be better than the Texans. That's what you just saw live.
All right, so it's fine. Like I said at the beginning, they're a year away from being a year away, and now they're a year away. So as long as the pieces look good, the overall win total is not the end of the world.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Yeah, as long as you can get some growth, and maybe of all your young players, like a couple are getting to be like, okay, we got some at least Pro Bowlers here.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be worst in the division, because the Colts have a rookie quarterback, but he has a much better team around him, right?
And also his avenue for, if we want to transition to the Colts, because we all have the Texans last and the Colts would be next up to talk about anyway. Richardson has, I think, a much better avenue for success right away through the ground game. That isn't really available. It's not that like you won't see Stroud running and you won't see Bryce Young running, but there will be like heavily
Anthony Richardson could be ripping off like, 40-yard
It's going to be a heavily
like,
designed QB
casually.
Run game around Anthony Richardson, because he is that dynamic of a runner. And even as a passer, I think it's a massive upgrade over what they were dealing with last year with Matt Ryan, who like literally could not throw the ball down the field at all. Like we're dealing with Alec Pierce and Michael Pittman at receiver, who are two like down the field jump ball guys, and you have a quarterback that cannot get it down the field. So even if you're worried about Richardson's accuracy, at least he can get it into a space where maybe Pierce or maybe Pittman can track it down.
Yeah, he's not throwing to Ricky Pearsall anymore, let's just say, like he was in Florida.
Right.
Arizona State legend. I'm sorry, Ricky, but...
So, yeah.
I thought I was done with him when he transferred. I thought I was done watching this. Nah, he was decent.
Bro just caught
But Michael Pittman and Alec Pierce are better. I'm sorry. Ricky is a lot better of an athlete than probably a lot of other things than me. But yeah, I kind of see the vision with the Colts a little bit. I mean, it's not like Richardson is working with absolutely nothing. I think that I like Jonathan Taylor's fit in this offense because it kind of masks his biggest weakness, which is receiving the ball. He's just not very coordinated or route runner. He's more of a north and south guy than someone who you really want being like in and out of breaks, and he's not super coordinated with his hands. But in an RPO offense, you don't catch any passes if you're the running back because you're pretending to run the ball. So if you're running a lot of that, it's not like you're getting all the good at Jonathan Taylor, which is the running, and none of the bad, which is the receiving. And you got Pittman, and who has a big catch radius, and Alec Pierce, who has a big catch radius for a guy who probably needs a big catch radius to throw to. Yeah, it's not a bad looking offense for the skill set, for the scheme that they want to run. It's kind of like a zombie version of like the right. I don't even know. It's a zombie version of. I don't know. It's kind of looking good though. I see how they have fit together.
I think it's going to be pretty rough because Richardson.
Oh.
Like,
are you just like out on all the rookie quarterbacks being like respectable right away?
Especially Richardson. Has there ever been a quarterback like Richardson who's come in and then been good right away? How was the Bears offense last year? You know, it's like
it was not good, but I think Fields will behave himself more than Fields did. Fields couldn't even throw a screen without like scrambling. I'm hoping that Richardson will be like slightly more reined in than that, if not.
And the Bears also didn't have any receivers, like at all. It was like Equinemius St. Brown out there, man.
I do think that Richardson could be better than Fields right away. I think Fields is a special kind of abandoning structure. And I think the problem with Richardson wasn't that he was doing that in college. And that wasn't the problem with Fields either, was it? Like, he wasn't playing like that in college. But I think the Bears broke Fields by giving him Matt Nagy and no weapons. And I think he kind of had a reason to go rogue and hasn't quite been able to rein it back in. I think Richardson will not do that. I think that his dream, because he's a good pocket passer. He's just slow and his feet get mixed up, which is not good either.
I just think it's going to be a struggle with a rookie quarterback. I do. I'm sorry, man.
Fair. That's fair.
I like the ceiling is, or the floor is not high just because you can run. It's not, because you need to be able to pass anyway. It's true. Like there's only like for instance, maybe you look at the Titans as a team that was sort of like a running led team a few years ago, but they were really efficient passing the ball. I just kind of doubt the Colts' ability to be like clicking like that year one with Richardson. And I like Richardson. Again, it's like nothing against him. I just think that there's going to be more struggles than it seems. Richardson was not completing a ton of passes in college for a reason. And I agree he held steady in the pocket, and I'm very confident he's going to be good and going to become good, but it takes time.
I think one thing that I would bet money on, and to the extent that this happens, can be debated, and how like efficient it makes the overall offense can be debated. But I do think his completion percentage is going to go up instead of down in the NFL, even though that is, yeah. Like there just weren't a lot of manufactured passes for him. And I think and there were a lot of drops and plays where the wide receivers weren't tracking it correctly. Like there were full games where he would complete below 50% of his passes. And then if you go and look through it, you could say like there were some smart throwaways, there were some drop passes, and really it's something like there were a lot of those instances with Anthony Richardson, and the offense didn't help him. Like he was kind of living downfield. So I think with those two things naturally better, even though the game is faster and harder to play, I think there is going to be some stuff working in his favor. And I think that he will be I think that he will be pleasantly surprising, but that because some people are expecting him to be like terrible, and like some people think he cannot pass at all. And I think people are going to come in and say like, okay, he's got some ability to do that, but will it be enough? Like
the real thing that could hinder this offense, I think, would be the offensive line. If the offensive line does not get better from where it was a year ago, you're going to be kind of rough. That would be the one thing that would, I think, worry you, because then the run game suffers, and if the run game suffers, now all of a sudden the one thing that you really like about this offense is gone.
Yeah, you'd have to lean more on Richardson if you couldn't be consistent on the ground. How many sacks did Matt Ryan take last year?
A lot.
It was a decent amount.
It was a lot. I don't remember the exact numbers. I thought I had it from my video that
He's taken more sacks than I've thought. This doesn't matter at all.
Oh, here it is. The Colts last year were top 3 for most sacks allowed on their QBs.
Okay, here's a question. Do you think Richardson will be sacked more or less than 38 times?
Less, probably, considering how he played in college.
Less, and they'll probably pass way less.
Okay. Probably.
Yeah. If they have him attempting 461 passes this year, like Ryan did in 12 games.
It's so unbelievable.
That would not be good, I think.
Yeah.
I agree, though. I don't think that you can really... I'm optimistic, and I think that we can look at this and say, like, if I squint, that kind of looks like the Eagles, maybe a little bit. I think there can be some of that in this offense, and it can be exciting because I do think that he's inheriting a couple more skill position weapons than the average top 5 pick. So I think it'll be okay. The passing defense, I am not convinced is good.
It's not.
Following the departure of our friend Stephon Gilmore.
Yeah, it's not good. My one saving grace for this defense was going to be Shaq Leonard. I'm like, you know what, the pass defense, they might give up some big plays, but I can guarantee we're going to get like 7, 8, 9, 10 turnovers this year. Yeah, I was just like banking on the turnovers.
Who is Dallas Flowers, and why is he the projected starting right cornerback on this team? Please tell me that's not actually happening. Who is that? Sorry,
Are you looking on ESPN?
I'm looking at our lads. Dallas Flowers. Colts fan. That's sometimes it's wrong.
I think PFF has Julius Brents listed as the starting corner.
Yeah,
Julius
and
Brents and Kenny
that?
Moore. Kenny Moore.
Well, that's the nickel. Who's the other outside corner?
Dallas Flowers.
Who is that? Prove me wrong, Dallas, but who is that?
Let me see
I'm a little worried about the secondary. Maybe Julius Brents is Tariq Woolen because he is a freak and he did have a good Senior Bowl. But he also doesn't quite know how to play football yet, according to his Kansas State film. I was watching FAU, the Chiefs' first-round pick, and he was pretty up and down, Brents. And now he's starting in the NFL. And I just don't know about that.
Yeah, the defense, if Shaq Leonard isn't like good to go week 1, that's like such a problem. And like the quote from Irsay where he's like, JT, he's ready to go. He's 100% healthy. And they're like, well, how's Shaq? And he's like, well, he's getting better. He's working real hard. I'm like, that is
came back last year. And he was someone that was like kind of living on the turnovers, like producing them at an elite rate to be considered like an elite linebacker to me. Like he's not the world's greatest in coverage, and he's not like the most physical taking on blocks, but he gives you so many turnovers. Like every other game, he could get you a turnover. Yeah. And that is what makes him great. And I don't know. I just feel like a back injury for him, like maybe he can still create turnovers that way. Like I assume he could still like peanut punch the ball out and read eyes and all that.
Yeah.
But I don't know. His status as an elite linebacker is not quite solidified enough for me to look past a report like that after he looked so stiff coming back last year.
Yeah. So that worries me a lot, but I like their defensive line. I like Grover Stewart. I like DeForest Buckner. You would like to see Kwity Paye take a step?
You would.
But
you definitely would.
And then who else do they have down there? Ebukam?
Ebukam.
Is that how you pronounce that?
Yeah, it's Sebastian Ebukam.
Oh, okay. I'm terrible at pronunciation, so.
Hey, no problem. Yeah, I think that the team, I do like Richardson, and deep down I believe that he could shock the world. I do. But I just don't know if I'm brave enough to stand out here and like predict that Florida was just like a fluke and they were using him wrong and he's just waiting to break out right away. It's probably not quite that.
I still think this is a competitive team. Maybe, but yeah, I mean, for me, they're probably third.
I would say third as well.
Even though I made a whole video being like, yeah, the Colts are going to be like pleasantly surprising this year. And they still could be, but I just don't know if that's going to be enough to like sneak them in at a playoff spot.
I just can't see them. Richardson in the playoffs year one is kind of beyond my wildest dreams.
It would be wild.
Carrying that defense, I just don't think that defense is going to be very good considering the corner and really the whole secondary situation. Maybe there's someone I'm vastly underrating and, let me know if I am, but and they're Gus Bradley. I think Gus Bradley's still the coach there. And like everyone knows Gus Bradley's thing. He's cover 3, right?
I've got him as that 3 as well.
Okay. Yeah, maybe Matt had him at 1. Who knows? Yeah, so I don't know. I have some optimism for them. I think they can be all right, but at this rate, it looks like we're probably just going to be going in the exact same order that these teams finished last year. Even though, the Colts and Texans show signs of life, shows areas of improvement. I think if the Titans had not added Hopkins, I would put the Titans at 3. That might be the thing, because I do think that them not having a serious number 1 option at receiver would be, I would have no faith in this offense, I feel like. But now they have some life.
Do they?
They have life to finish second in the AFC South.
I have them at 2, but
fair.
I don't think it would be that hot of a take to have the Colts over them. I guess maybe that goes back on what I was saying. Like, dude, they aren't good. They aren't sneaky good. I don't think. That's my hot take about them.
Titans?
No.
Not a 29-year-old.
No. This offensive line is like the worst in the league.
Yeah, it's a bad.
Here's the secret about the Titans. Rushing attack, not that good last year because their offensive line is the worst in the league. I don't get like Derrick Henry, great player, but like, we're kind of getting to the point.
Yeah, no,
I think that they can just be the like pesky team that they've been in the past, which is like not super inspiring, but it is pesky. And Henry he was moving very well last season. I know that he's like all the alarm bells are going off and check engine and everything with him with this many carries in his career. But I still think that he looked fine last year, and Hopkins and Burks and Shea. It's just like, is this the worst iteration of the Titans that we've seen? They were contending for the division last year before Tannehill missed time, and they had to like play with Malik Willis. And even Malik Willis took the Chiefs to overtime just because they seem to overperform. And I know they ended last year pretty, mid, but they were pretty injured by the end in the secondary and in the pass rush and at quarterback and at wide receiver. I like the addition of Arden Key. I like getting Harold Landry back. I think they could still just be fine, and that's not a hot take at all. I think they're a perfectly acceptable team to have like in the hunt and not quite making it to the playoffs, or if you're really feeling good about Will Levis or something, you could put him as a playoff team. I don't know. But they're not super inspiring to me, but especially a couple weeks ago before they signed Hopkins, I felt like they were a little underrated, but I don't know if they are anymore because everyone seems to think they're fine now.
Before they signed Hopkins, you thought they were underrated?
I did.
I don't know. They're not.
I like Burks.
They're not good.
I have trust in Vrabel, dude. He's like.
Where was Vrabel last year? 10 wins to get this division, no? He choked.
Vrabel last year was winning the division until a bunch of key pieces got hurt. With a team that looked bad on paper and nobody liked going into the season. But I get that like it's a moral victory, but I just have a feeling that this team is one of those teams. Vrabel is going to be one of those coaches.
I guess they play the Texans and the Colts.
It's easy. They can beat the
division
Colts.
Has an easy schedule.
They can beat the Texans.
Okay. They'll have a phony 8 wins.
Yes, you see the vision.
That's not an underrated team. That's not
not saying it was underrated. I thought they could get a phony 8 wins before they signed Hopkins.
Is what I think.
And now I still believe they could.
I think the Colts getting 8. The Colts getting 8 wins is them being under. Like that would be an exciting.
What about with an average? What about with an average schedule? How many games would they win? 7, 6. There's sneakily, this is an honest man's 6-win team.
Vrabel is backpacking this team to 7 wins. I don't care. I watched some horrible secondaries play some good football last year. God damn it. I don't know. I feel like he's going to be all right. I don't know what he says. He seems like a good motivator. He seems like he gets the boys to play hard. This is an future Ohio State coach we're talking about here, Matt.
Look, Vrabel, I have faith in. But what I'm hearing right now is that Derrick Henry is going to run hard and Vrabel's going to have those fellas playing as hard as they can. I see 8 wins.
I do.
Okay, sure. They'll win 8 games.
I do.
This is exactly a terrible offensive line, man. It's awful, dude. Skoronski's a nice pickup,
coach,
but like,
Matt. They loved him. They hired him on the spot, Matt. This is a good offensive line coach they hired, Matt.
Offensive line coach. I'm sorry.
This moves the needle.
They have Frere, don't they?
Who?
The Ohio State tackle. He's suspended?
Oh, what? What
the hell? That's what it says on ESPN. What the hell did he get suspended for?
He must have gambled.
Oh, 6 games. They're done.
Petit Frere is not a positive or a negative. As long as I never see number 71 for the Titans on the field again. I don't remember who that was. I feel like I've been mean to players today.
Don't tell me that's Jamarco Jones.
I don't think that it is.
He's 73. It's okay. We're safe. Ohio State.
Is that a Buckeye or something or whatever?
Okay. Ohio State legend.
Okay, I'm not going to click through all the numbers, but I don't know.
He's probably not on the team anymore because every time I watch number 71, it was really not a pretty scene. They don't even have him. I looked who is 71 on the Titans, and they like scrubbed him from.
Is it Andre Dillard?
No, it was someone. They swept him from existence.
He got snapped. He got the Thanos snap.
Dennis Daly. Yes, sorry, Dennis Daly. It was you. I'm sorry. He was a Panther.
He was throwing strays today.
Dude, I just
that didn't perform.
You think their passing offense is going to be good? Yes or no?
I think
healthy Tannehill is like okay.
I think it could be efficient again. I don't know. I
think maybe it could maybe be okay. That's how you know it's bad.
No, it's like, well, Tannehill was hurt last year.
Burks
and they had no
good.
receivers.
This is my. Everyone loves Christian Watson because he ran by everybody and caught all these contested catches.
Burks ran like a 5-5.
And then Burks comes in and does it, and everyone is like,
Burks' game speed is faster than
that is
than
true.
7.5, man.
Burks is good. Burks I saw with my own eyes. I saw it in person at the Packers game. He cooked us. And it just means more when you see it in person.
There's some truth to that.
Yeah.
There is
play
some
action,
truth to that.
and linebackers come up, and Tannehill just rips it over the middle, and he's Debo. Bang! He's not nearly as good after the catch as Debo. Sadly,
he's got that contested.
He's got like 10.5-inch hands, and he's fat. He like gets vertical separation. I don't care what his 40 time was. He's fast.
Here is my official take. My official take is that this team is not sneaky good. However, they're going 4-0 against the NFC South. That I promise you. And they'll win like 9 games. But they're not sneaky good.
They're not beating my Atlanta Falcons. That's for damn sure.
They're not beating my Packers.
They get the Packers too.
Even though they did last year.
I don't think they play.
They played last year, and there's no way on earth they would schedule Packers Titans 2 years in a row of all.
Okay, so the NFC South plays the AFC South. If the Falcons sweep the AFC South, I will buy a Tyler Algier jersey. This is my promise to you.
I'll buy a Frank Darby jersey. Anyway, on to the team that will mollywop the rest of the teams in this division.
Let's talk about a real football team real quick.
I'm so high on the Jaguars. I've been Jaguars pilled, except for their offensive line.
Yeah.
The Jaguars are a couple like 2021 Rams moves away from being like a complete juggernaut. They need to find their like Von Miller for a second-round pick. Or... You know what I'm talking about? They need to work the phones.
Here's the vision, right? The vision is Jimmy Garoppolo just never passes his physical, and then the Raiders end up trading Devontae.
Where could this be going?
Raiders trade Devontae because he wants out because he doesn't want to play with whoever the hell.
Crosby to want out or something. They don't need Devontae.
That's not unthinkable after he was sitting in the car with Josh Jacobs.
They should have traded for Ramsey again, man. Could have come back to Jacksonville, helped him compete for his Super Bowl. It would have been poetic.
He did return to Florida. Wrong team, though.
Yeah, wrong team. They should be working the phones for an offensive lineman, perhaps. And I don't know who this could be. I don't know. Just anybody.
The Browns will give you Jed Wills.
Not him. A good player.
I agree they should. I agree they're really good. I think the logic for them being really good is pretty simple. It's like they were a great passing offense last year. And they're getting Calvin Ridley, and Trevor Lawrence is going to be a year older. And that's probably going to be pretty good.
Pretty good.
And I
think Trevor Lawrence could win MVP. And I think that Trevor Lawrence could cement himself like as the second best quarterback in the league next year behind Mahomes. I think that's like a pretty reasonable outcome to the season. I think they could be really, really good. I think that Lawrence could make them really, really good because Lawrence is, I don't want to say he's perfect, but he was really getting into he was
I don't want to say he's perfect and wonderful, but what other words are there?
He's getting really, really, really good at all aspects of playing the quarterback position. Would you disagree?
I think he's a solid player.
So you would disagree that he's getting really, really good at all aspects.
Theo's heated at Matt calling Trevor Lawrence a solid player.
Hey, he's more than
sadly,
a solid player.
Here's the thing though, right? You forget something, Theo. He went to Clemson.
He did go to Clemson.
He did
Disposed poorly for him.
Though.
He's right up there, man. Like, yeah, he can do it all. I don't disagree. And I think adding Ridley is going to make the receiving core really, really strong. I think getting Ingram back is good, even though, he gets a lot of negative stuff still said about him. I think they're going to be strong.
Yeah. Like, if he's, let's say he's just elite, like people are talking about him like he's Allen or Burrow or for some people, Herbert and Lamar. Like, he's solidly in that tier and maybe even better than some of those guys next year, which I think is possible because his pocket presence is off the charts. His arm strength, he's aggressive down the field, and he's willing to, break structure, and he's also willing to manipulate with his eyes. I think that he can be even a bigger playmaker than Herbert, which honestly isn't too hard these last 2 years, to be completely honest.
I'd hope so.
Like, I think he's got a little bit more of that, like, willingness to go, like, make some shit happen down the field.
I agree.
And if he can just, like, not get tricked like he did in the Chargers game and maybe cut down on the turnover-worthy plays or just up the consistency just a little bit more. It wasn't until midway through last season that people were, like, convinced he's good. And then by the end, he was all of a sudden like a top 7 quarterback. So I think if you think of him like that, how many other elite quarterbacks have a supporting cast as good as Jacksonville?
Yeah, not many. I mean, it's right up there, and the play calling's great.
Mm-hmm.
I totally see the vision. I mean, it's not hard to imagine at all. And again, they don't play a very, very tough schedule. Win total could be
kind
up
of
there.
a cakewalk. It's kind of a cakewalk. I think they could be up there competing for the 1 seed. I think Jaguars Jets AFC Championship game would be my fun outside the box prediction. Ravens could also be up there.
I mean, they play all the heavy hitters of the AFC pretty much, but outside of that, it's like
I was looking at their schedule.
They do have the AFC North, but outside of that,
but you kind of want to play those guys too,
and they can beat those guys. Like, they can be better than the Browns. They can be better than the Steelers. Hey, it's not like that's 4 losses. I think they could go toe to toe with the Bengals and Ravens. I think that they're kind of cream of the crop of the league right now. Last year they were you could say last year they were a year away from being like real contenders, and they were in the second round of the playoffs. I think they were ahead of schedule, and Trayvon Walker is a year older, and I really think they should be working the phones for some veterans because there's still a couple holes. But I think if they could add someone cool at the deadline, well, Lawrence is still on the rookie contract, although he's not going to be after this season. They should be number 1, I think, by a pretty wide margin. I don't think anyone is like, which one of these teams is better than Trevor Lawrence in these weapons and that defense?
No, nobody's got a passing offense like that, And the defense isn't all bad. They get a lot of pressures. I think there's a lot to like on the front 7. The pass defense is questionable. The corner play can be questionable. The secondary overall is a little bit shaky, but
they're a little bit worse on defense than I thought last year, looking at the numbers now. Really good run defense, but the pass defense was near the bottom, which I didn't quite realize. That could be, and that's, again, like, I really wish they could make one more move. Like, I don't know if there'll be a cap casualty, but the Eagles jumped all over James Bradbury, and the Rams jumped all over Von Miller. Like, someone's going to come available, I think, within the next few months. And it's like, if I was the Jaguars, I would be all over that. Buda Baker, maybe, I don't know, like anyone, but like, let's just get this team a little bit better.
Buda Baker would be real interesting.
And they've got the rookie quarterback, so it's like, now is the time. Now, do it now while you still can, while there's still the opening. Free
agent edition, and the Ridley move was a really good example of this. Like, they did a great job with the Ridley move. That was a perfect, like, 5th rounder for Calvin Ridley. Like, just it's perfect. So just find something like that again, and I think they'll be in pretty good shape and aggressively pursue it.
100%.
Yeah, I can't think of anyone else who would really fit for them off the top of my head.
Like maybe you could trade for Chase Young at the deadline. But like they don't need him. They've got
right. I would focus on the secondary.
Yeah, they do need a corner.
Or a corner. Yeah, a corner. Or like you said, Theo, maybe a tackle.
When J.C. Horn and Denzel Ward request trades in the middle of the season.
Hey man, the Browns have Emerson and Newsome.
Newsome wants a trade, doesn't he?
Does he?
Yes.
I didn't see that. What?
He's gone, man. He hates you guys.
He's a Jaguar already.
Newsome is good. He just got hurt. But like no,
this was a while ago though. I saw this headline a long time ago, and literally nothing happened. So I don't know. But I'd call if I was Jacksonville.
Couldn't hurt.
I'd say really.
Really?
But yeah.
So those are our AFC South predictions upcoming.
Meet the new boss, same as the old boss.
We all have matching.
We all have the exact same order, and it's the exact same as it was last year.
All right, next division, I'm doing something crazy.
You don't
it's
have
okay.
to.
Sometimes things stay the same. Sometimes.
So I always remember we went. Was this when we went to Vegas and we went to this like Mexican restaurant and Theo didn't want to get the same thing that we were getting for dinner?
This is my favorite thing to do. I'll wait until Theo orders and then order the exact same thing he got just to do it.
Yeah, it's like
you can do it to me, but I'm not going to do it to you. If you guys get in Blaiden's case, a grilled cheese sandwich, and
now why am I catching a stray? Is the real question.
That's true. I don't know. Well, really, what you have to do,
you do order good things at restaurants. I give you too much shit for saying cheese pizza was your favorite, and you like chips without any dip. Maybe I don't give you too much shit.
And like vanilla is your favorite ice cream. And
it's a good flavor.
Lemon is his favorite ice cream. Remember, Matt?
No, lemon's third. We
got to bring that back.
Bring back the lemon ice cream.
Maybe that can be a retro throwback merch. You know how there's other throwback jerseys? Maybe in a couple of weeks we can make throwback Stay Hot merch with all our bits from...
Matt's getting corn merch.
Oh.
Yeah, we're back, baby.
We are so back. Well, let's get into this mailbag. We got this mailbag with questions from our Twitter. If you want to be involved in this, make sure you follow us at StayHotPod on Twitter. First question comes from Bingo. Says, how do you solve the running back contract problem? It's about damn time someone asked. Asked this. I've been spitting out a few ideas. They've been getting mixed reviews on Twitter and on TikTok. I did the first idea was a salary cap minimum allocation per position. And I gave like an abstract numbers, like you have to put $20 million at least towards every single position. But then the flaw that I found in it was that doesn't really solve the issue of running backs wanting like long-term extensions, right? Because like you could get a 1-year deal worth, $15 million, and I think Saquon or Josh Jacobs would still not approve of that. I think they would much rather have the 3-year deal. So the solution there was, or it's a long-term solution more so than like how to solve like right now, but it would be allowing every single position the option of a shorter rookie contract. So you could opt for a 1 or a 2-year deal, and most players I think would still opt for a 4-year contract, because I don't think Richardson would be like, oh yeah, I'm betting on myself to be the greatest quarterback of all time year 1 and getting $150 million. It's like, no, he's probably taking the 4-year deal. Let me bet on progression. And also a lot of those guys get better with age, right? But running backs typically cap out at a certain age, and they're usually their best right away. So I think a lot of them would take the shorter deal.
I would just pay Josh Jacobs especially
Yeah.
Josh Jacobs.
That's the conversation we
I
had
do
in our
not
text
understand
chat.
why the Raiders are not doing this. I just don't understand.
Well, I kind of get it.
Like,
Somebody
what else
who
are
is
you
not, like-
doing with the money? Like, why would you not sign him?
I don't know.
I guess because you
I
could
like
get
what-
someone just as good, but
What are the exact numbers he's asking for? We don't know. And I think signing someone for the sake of signing them maybe doesn't make the most sense. I agree the running back thing is a problem. And one thought I've had that's kind of unrelated is that if you franchise tag somebody, it should come with a player option in the second year. So it gives maybe a little bit more guaranteed money to those guys, and it makes it a little bit more likely that they'll at least sign that. But,
that's a good idea.
Yeah, it is good. I like that.
I don't necessarily blame the teams. They're kind of just doing what they're supposed to be doing. Like if Jacobs is asking for humongous, like record-setting running back contract, and it's like he had this great like contract year, it's like, man, I mean, they didn't pick up the 5th-year option on him. Mm-hmm. To go from that to giving a huge amount of money when it's a running back, dude, that's really risky. That's probably not going to turn out how you want it to, right?
Well, I don't know, because there are examples of running backs being good on their second contracts. It's not like it never happens.
I'm not saying it's not.
And I think if you're the Raiders, can you rely? I mean, Jimmy Garoppolo hasn't passed his physical. Who is your starting quarterback? It's either Jimmy Garoppolo this close to failing a physical, which is not a good quarterback, even if he isn't this close. He cannot stay healthy. He's never been able to be healthy. After that, you have Brian Hoyer. He looks like a corpse.
Hold on
and
now.
then it's Aiden O'Connell. And it's like, you're going to lean on this quarterback room? Like, and I guess they did tag Jacobs. So they did like take steps to ensure Jacobs on the team this year. But I think Jacobs has more, I guess he doesn't have more leverage, but I wouldn't want to lose him if he threatened to hold out. And I just don't get what money you're saving. Like, let's say, I'm sure there's a price they're willing to pay him. I mean, they're paying him $10 million this year. I mean, let's say it's $14 or $15 million to sign Josh Jacobs. That's a little bit more than Nick Chubb and Derrick Henry, but less than Christian McCaffrey. Like, what are you spending that $4 million on that you saved? Like, the gap between those things, you know, like, why aren't you willing to go a little bit higher to keep one of the two good players in your offense? Or there's maybe a couple more than that, but your offensive player of the year candidates. I just don't get it. I just don't think that the amount of money that they're squabbling over is worth losing a guy like Jacobs when your quarterback is bad. If you had Mahomes, sayonara Josh Jacobs, you know, like we can throw it 80% of the time. When you have Jimmy Garoppolo on a bum ankle, it's like, give me Josh Jacobs. I like short term, we're not going to be good in the next couple of years anyway. And if we are, it's because we have a quarterback on a rookie deal, and it doesn't matter how much we're paying our running back, if it's 16 or 14 or 12 million, you know? So I just think these GMs are being dumb, really. And it's like, if Christian McCaffrey was up for a contract right now, do you think the 49ers would pay it?
Probably.
I think so too. I just think we need I think these GMs are going to regret this, even though the analytics are right that running backs are like a more replaceable position than others. I do think these offenses could really use Saquon Barkley and especially Josh Jacobs.
I think they're good, but I just think the value for adding a guy like that is just not worth the money sometimes. And even then, you don't know how good they're going to be long term often. So it's kind of a mix.
It is a mix. I think if you don't know, or if you're unsure but think it could go both ways, you should err and just sign the guy. Like, if you declined his 4th year or 5th year option and made it a prove it deal, and he proves it, like, give him the contract. And if he didn't, you could have replaced him. I don't know. Because I think that's part of it as well. Why I would sign them is just because I just think that's a smart way to do business. I don't even think it's like a good faith way. I think like it's smart and it builds trust. Although I guess the Patriots cut people all willy-nilly and they were so good for so long. So maybe I'm just an old-fashioned heart of gold.
I'm going to use a Super Bowl stat on you. I want these guys to get their bag, but you know, they don't win Super Bowls and I want to win Super Bowls. So no.
Yeah, elite quarterbacks do, but they do, like, if you're the Raiders, they do make your team better.
They do.
And if you're the Raiders, if your team sucks, you will not be making the selection at number 1
You're just
overall.
the stupid, dumb Raiders, so who cares?
That's right.
Give them $100 million.
Gavel.
You're just the
gavel bangs. Stupid, dumb
That's our solution.
Raiders.
Us personally, we would.
Listen,
If I was league commissioner, I would commission the Raiders to pay him $100 million. The Giants can do what they want because they've won a Super Bowl in the last 20 years. And have been a shining light.
The Giants...
League-wide extra pay based on rushing attempt. How many rushing attempts you have, league-wide incentive, and make the Raiders pay for it all. They're just idiots.
They're like the rookie team. They're like the rookie team that gets the bill.
It's just it just comes out of Tom Brady. Like it's just Tom Brady.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, that's what we'll do.
Just have Tom Brady pay all the running back contracts forever.
That's a good idea. That's a good idea. And
I don't know how you fix it. It's really tough.
Yeah. It is tough. I almost wonder if certain running backs are like non-shooting big men, like the Derrick Henrys of the world, and some of these under center backs that, you know, go between the tackles. Because I do think that a guy like Prime Kamara right now could get signed. A guy like McCaffrey could get signed again right now, but they signed him for a ridiculously long amount of time, so that won't be happening. And I wonder, but I guess Eckler's not signed and he's a receiving back, but he's not really a between the tackles guy too.
Yeah, Eckler's...
I think some running backs could get paid. I think the Raiders are poverty.
They're not as valueless as they're made out to be on Twitter right now, who believes that Justin Tucker is more valuable than any running back in the NFL. Which is insane. If you think that, you are crazy. That is a crazy thing to think. And part of it is because it's Tucker and people are just wacky about him. Like, he's great.
This is Theo and I's fault, I fear.
It is. Wait, is there what running back wouldn't you trade for Justin Tucker right now? McCaffrey?
Well, see, no. This is a different question. That's a different question. Okay. Would I rather have Tucker or a running back I have to pay a lot? That's one thing. Is Tucker himself more valuable than Christian McCaffrey or Derrick Henry or Nick Chubb? No chance. And I know that because Justin Tucker makes $6 million a year.
Yes.
If he was that valuable and he was, you know, Ravens legend and, you know, the risk on signing a kicker.
He's making Miles Sanders money.
Right. Exactly the guy I was thinking of. It's like, you know, that's just not true. Maybe you could argue the Panthers shouldn't have signed Sanders, but
$6 million. Who cares? You're trying to be the Eagles anyway. You might as well get their running back who did a good job.
So true. So I think people think that running backs are like totally worthless, and it's like we've overcorrected on running backs, and we need to just bring it back into reasonable territory. You know.
Well, this is the thing is like, I think these running backs like Saquon and Josh Jacobs are asking for reasonable amounts of money. I don't even think.
How much are they asking for?
I've seen numbers like 11 million.
But it's like 3 years,
like,
right?
Or like the Giants won't pay more than 11 million. And it's like Chubb and Henry signed $12 million contracts. Like that's how much they're making per year. Those teams don't regret those contracts. And I think it's like okay to reset the market to $14 million, you know, like I just don't think that's unreasonable. And I don't think that's like this team sinking move, especially again, if you're the Chiefs, if you have Josh Allen, if you have Burrow, like, yeah, go ahead. Don't sign the running back. But again, if you have Jimmy Garoppolo, why not have a running back that's better than your other running back? You know, I just don't think it's that much to ask. It's Corey Davis money. You know, it's not going to sink your team. It's not like you're giving him any kind of long-term crippling deal. But most of these contracts are like probably 3 years anyway. Like the days of McCaffrey signing like a 5-year or Kamara signing like a 6-year contract, long gone. But I just don't think that's what these running backs are asking for.
Well, I'll tell you this, you can't be a salary cap isn't real guy and then tell me the running back shouldn't get paid. There better be no crossover of those two camps.
That's right.
But,
Bars.
Yeah, I don't know how to solve it.
Neither do I. I kind of think it'll correct itself. Like, I just think one of these running backs is going to get paid. And I think there's a real chance that maybe Jonathan Taylor gets paid or something like that. I don't know.
That was your hero.
I'd extend him right now. Might as well. It's probably pretty cheap.
Yeah.
You'd be a big hero if you're the GM. All the agents would be like,
that would
thank
expire
you so
what?
much.
He'd be 28 when it would expire. Right? Or 29?
I'm not sure.
He'd be, if it was, he's only 24, so
oh, yeah.
you could get him through years 24, 25,
26,
26, 27. I mean, there's a lot of good 27-year-old running backs.
You could give him 4 years. Screw it.
I think having him under contract for like the beginning of Richardson's rookie contract is not a bad idea at all. And I think it would be good from a football standpoint, like I already mentioned in the Colts section. And I just think that you would be a beloved figure in the league if you did this. And it just makes like perfect sense for your football team to me.
I would personally go to the Colts facility and like give like a round of applause myself.
Yeah, the worst thing that happens is he sucks, I guess, on this contract. And then it's just not a game-changing contract. Like, again, if you sign Corey Davis for $12.5 million a year and he sucks, that's not going to,
Well, no,
it's literally the same amount of money. It impacts your team the exact same amount in terms of like how you can build it. And I don't know. I just think it's way more likely that.
Would you rather have Christian Kirk on his contract or Josh Jacobs on Christian Kirk's contract?
Oh, I do disagree for the record. I don't think you should pay the running backs big money. I think the second contracts are bad unless they're cheaper and shorter. I do agree. It sucks that they can't get paid, and it is a problem because they play the most physical position and like are the one that leads to injury the most. And it's like they're in their prime too early. Like it's different from all the other positions. It is a serious problem. The NFL needs to fix it. But I don't think the solution is like, well, who cares if it's a bad contract? Pay it.
Yeah, I think one thing that could make life more fair for running backs soon is the NIL deals, because running backs are the big stars in college football and they do help you win games. Because defense, like run defenses, aren't as stout there, so a running back can just run through the conference. And so, if you're a big college star, you'd probably be making a bunch of money, and you'd be a bigger star than like the biggest college edge rusher, So that might be your window to make more money than the NFL. Is like if running backs could secure some pretty sweet NIL deals, you just need a superstar. But like Bijan Robinson got on mustard, so anything is possible.
Hey. Let him cook.
Who's the best running back in college football right now?
Is it Mayan Man?
Corum. Yeah, Corum needs that he needs a huge endorsement.
I'd have to think about it.
He's a running back from Michigan. Who am I kidding? He's getting a Duluth underwear sponsorship.
There's a few other guys I can't think
Who's getting the Stay Hot NIL deal?
Oh.
We don't make enough money for that. But I think that's all. I think that's all we've got.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Oh, no, we did have one more question. From Alex Hargrove. Real quick, what is Mac Jones' ceiling as a quarterback?
Like a Goffy type guy.
Like maybe like a current Kirk Cousins who
Yeah.
current Kirk Cousins who's pretty good at this point.
A little bit more aggressive than he has been in the past.
Yeah. Someone who gets like a Justin Jefferson and is able to actually like hit some explosive plays and like be accurate and avoid interceptions.
Someone who PFF really
Someone who PFF really
PFF did not love Kirk Cousins this year.
What?
That's probably because he was doing better.
Yeah. No, it's weird. Like I'm going through the efficiency
They're like,
chart.
oh my God, no way he threw that.
My
alert.
prediction is that Ryan Tannehill has his highest PFF grade yet, possibly highest of all time for a quarterback.
Not if Goff has anything to say about it, man.
Gino's
Goff
coming
may
for the
have
crown.
too many
I
yards
fear.
and touchdowns. I don't know.
Gino's too good to be the number one graded PFF guy. Stroud, maybe. Stroud could be the ultimate.
Year one, Stroud is PFF's highest graded quarterback ever.
Stroud could be that guy for PFF, which is not a horrible thing, but that's my worry with Stroud.
PFF.
He could be a PFF guy and not a real Hooper's ball don't stop guy.
Well, Mahomes is both, so.
No, they hated Mahomes for that 1 year. They said Mahomes was like the 15th best quarterback a couple years ago. You don't get to be a Mahomes guy anymore
That's
after
fair.
that.
That's fair. He was their number one guy this year, though, so. Actually, I
That's
think
because
Allen
his
was.
average depth of target fell so far this year. They were like, "Oh my God, he's hitting manufactured
might have
Kadarius
been
Toney
Allen.
touches
Hold on,
because they don't have Tyreek anymore." He's
You
not
do that
trying these
little move.
reckless, horrible things.
If you do that little move where it's like the jet sweep, but they run in front of you and you do it like that, so it's technically a pass.
99.99. No wonder they loved him this year.
Hold on.
His
No,
average
no,
touchdown happened 4 yards down the field. That's peak.
We
peak
are
PFF.
returning to normal. The top 5 quarterbacks, according to PFF, were Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson. We are so back. We are so
That's
back.
because Tannehill got hurt.
Tannehill got hurt and Kirk Cousins got too aggressive.
And Jones had a bad even by.
And Jones had a bad. They couldn't even defend Jones's year.
It's okay. We'll be back next year with Cousins will cool off.
How did Goff not
Tannehill.
finish top 5? Did you say Goff's name?
Goff was not top 5.
What
in
didn't
the
they like
PFF
about
grades.
Goff? How did PFF not like Goff season?
Hold
They've
on.
changed,
What didn't they
man.
like?
Goff came in at. Where did Goff come in at? Goff came
Damn,
in.
they got
at
Steven
20th.
Ruiz making the grades here. If Jared Goff is this far,
We are
hold
so
on.
base. Jared Goff was 20th.
What?
Am I reading that right?
No.
This
no.
year, PFF
They've
had
lost
Jared
their
Goff
way.
at 20th.
Hold on.
That just cannot
But
be
Bailey
true.
Zappi was 6th. Okay.
Yeah, bro.
Oh, okay.
Well, I don't think I included Zappy, did I?
No. You cut off after the top 5 to ignore that convenient. Where was Brissett? I know Andy Dalton was his
Brissett
ass
was
was
6.
high.
Brissett was
Yeah,
6.
there we go.
Was he
There
really?
we go.
Brissett was 6. Andy Dalton was 7. Tua was 8.
They
Gino
just did
was
this for their top 5 graphics. They did this so they could.
No, it's not even a
tweet out the
graphic.
top
I
5
have
graphic.
this is my
No,
like spreadsheet.
No. They can
edited
say
the
top
rankings.
5 highest graded seasons, and when they tweet that on Twitter, not everybody will get mad at him. But then right after the top 5, they're like Dalton, Brissett,
Yeah, it's
Who is the other one?
Brissett, Dalton, Tua, at
Zappy.
8.
Like this is.
Tua's at
They're
8.
like, we
Zappy.
cannot.
No,
like, we cannot tweet
Zappy's
out
at
graphics
25.
with Zapp.
Zappy's at 25. We're okay.
Oh, okay.
We're okay.
Sorry, PFF. Sorry.
Public apology soon. I am sorry, PFF.
I'm breaking out the ukulele.
But Goff overall, across all the other efficiency metrics, was fifth. He was just really low in PFF.
All the stats loved him, and he was like this total like nails game manager.
Except for PFF. PFF was the only ones that didn't love him.
Wow. I'm sure that employee has been fired. I'm sorry. There's a lot of nice people that work at PFF.
Yeah, I mean, we've had multiple on the show.
I use their stats every day. They're premium stats.
Yeah, I like some of PFF stuff.
I like some of the PFF stats.
And I think for some positions, their rankings work.
Brad, he was nails on the Quentin. He was nails on the Quentin Williams. Wait, why am I big Q? Quinnen Williams. Oh my God.
Yeah,
you got that exactly right. So yes, there's good stuff happening on PFF.
He's always nails. I feel like
he's always nails. There's good stuff happening on PFF. I just their grades can be a little silly at times.
All right. Well, that I think is all we have for today. Thank you all so much for tuning in. It's been an absolute blast. Matt, THEO, hope you have a wonderful rest of your evening. And until next time, you all know we'll catch you on the flippity flop.